Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining us on this pleasant Friday morning. You know, our show, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you by SCVi and iLEAD Schools. We are a network of charter schools. Charters are public schools. Charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've also got a fully accredited online school. Really cool. Kindergarten through 12th grade, fully accredited, all online. It's different from homeschool. You get all the support of your teacher and an academic coach. But we also have homeschool. We've got a burgeoning homeschool program, as a matter of fact, iLEAD Exploration. You can visit us at iLeadschools.org for information on our online school, our homeschool program, our site-based programs, our outdoor classroom, our play-based learning, our project-based learning, everything that we've got. You know, we believe that every child deserves an individualized, very, very personalized education, and that's why we have so many models, because different kids have different needs. They need different things. So check us out at iLeadschools.org. We've got our eye on education in Santa Clarita and across the nation, but like our show says, we keep our eye on the valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the valley. And we do it all while giggling, laughing, poking around, and having lots of fun, because if you know me, you know that I absolutely refuse to do anything unless I can laugh while I'm doing it. Gets me in trouble a lot, but that's half the fun, right? It is. It's chilly out there. You know, my car was frozen before I came in. I was a couple minutes late to the studio because I had to de-ice the wings on the old soccer rocket out there in the parking lot. And I come in here and Patty's got the AC on. Holy moly, Patty, what is going on? So,
I mean, in 2 seconds, it can turn to a sauna if the heat's on. Trust me.
I'll just leave the hoodie on. We're good. Anyways, it looks like it's going to warm up a little bit. We're going to dry up this weekend, and that is a good thing because we're going to have a fantastic weekend. We're going to make it a fantastic weekend. Remember, it's up to us. It is within our control to have a fantastic weekend. We can have a fantastic weekend or not. The decision is ours. So, make yours a great weekend, Santa Clarita. Don't let life happen to you. Get out there. Take control. Seize that day. Seize that weekend. Make it yours. Grab it by the neck and do it. So, speaking of do it, let's get started. Let's jump right into the show. We've got a fantastic show for you today. In just a minute, we're going to be talking with Jennifer Campoy. Jennifer works with Insight Treatment Center, where she and the rest of the Insight team are doing great things for our kids who have some pretty critical needs. Anytime I get to talk with someone from Insight, I get excited. It's just an incredible place, and they're really serving our kids well. And that's in just a minute. We've also got an award-winning filmmaker, Ramon Hamilton, joining us in hour number 2. Ramon has produced some pretty incredible films and some other media as well. In fact, he's pushing the envelope when it comes to media creation. And he also takes time to teach filmmaking at SCVi, and he'll have one of his learners, Hugo Turner, with him. With Ramon's help, Hugo actually recently produced and submitted his own film to a program and film contest called Directing Change. So we'll be talking about that. Hugo's film is a PSA, a public service announcement centered around teen mental health and art therapy. So we've got a lot going on today in the realm of teen health and wellness. And if you're looking for a little something to put a smile on your face, actually it's a big something, not a little something that'll put a smile on your face this morning. No matter who you are, no matter what age, we're going to start your weekend off with some fun and laughter with Big T at the end of the show. Big T will be joining us at the bottom of the second hour. He's got trivia, fun facts, and in fact, he called me right before the show. He's really excited about today's episode, and he always makes me giggle during Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. So stick around, won't you? It is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, my first guest today is Jennifer Campoy, licensed clinical social worker with Insight Treatment Center. After graduating Mayfield Senior School in Pasadena, go Cubs, she attended and received her degree in psychology from St. Mary's College and later her master's in social work from Columbia University in New York, where she was an avid roller coaster fanatic there on Coney Island. She's been working with people in a variety of clinical settings for nearly 3 decades, in treatment centers with kids and families, and in private practice with adults. She's passionate about getting to understand people better and helping to bring about lasting change in their lives. She helps her patients feel more confident, self-assured, and not look to others so much for validation. And gosh, which one of us would not want more of that in our lives? Jennifer, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Hi, Matt. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you indeed.
Right.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's give our listeners a little bit of a background, some information about the kind of facility and program that Insight runs. You know, I had the opportunity to tour Insight actually a little bit less than a year ago as we kind of leaned into the pandemic here. Frederick, the program director over there, gave me a tour. It's an exciting facility. Can you just give us a little bit of an overall view of what Insight is?
Yeah, sure. It's what's called an intensive outpatient program, and we treat teens and families. And an intensive outpatient program means that the kids come 4 days a week, and they come to group therapy 4 days a week. They get individual therapy. They get family therapy. And so there's structure sort of right off the bat. It is for teens and families who are having either or both mental health and substance abuse problems and behavioral problems like acting out, or mood problems such as depression and anxiety. Family problems are usually an issue when they come in. So yeah, it's sort of a wraparound approach kind of program where they get a lot of group therapy and like lots of different kinds of therapies. And a really unique aspect, I think, is what's called a multifamily group, is when all the families come to a family therapy group once a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the teens actually get to experience several different settings, whether you know, it's that family group, individual therapy, and then they also just kind of hang out. It mirrors a little bit of a school environment where you've got multiple kids there, and oftentimes even when they're not receiving their services, they're hanging out. They're doing their schoolwork. They're doing their stuff. One of the things that really impressed me is when the staff was telling me about the need for this type of program, you know, because you've got kids that receive, you know, services, whether they're receiving treatment or therapy, you know, an hour a week, a few hours a week. And then you've also got kids that have some pretty extreme needs where they need to have an inpatient program or a place where they go and stay for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. This kind of bridges that gap, doesn't it? Where, you know, your child doesn't need to be in an inpatient program, but they certainly need some more wraparound type services. And that kind of, like I said, bridges that gap, kind of sits in between there where kids get a full day of services but still go home at night, right?
Exactly. And so this is the intensity of a program is there in terms of the structure and in terms of them having to show up every day for at least 3 hours a day, sometimes more. But they're working on their problems sort of in real time, you know, and so, you know, for kids who have acting out or substance abuse problems that are so severe where safety is a real issue, residential is the way to go. But that doesn't allow for the family problems to get worked on. And it also, you know, being in captivity, so to speak, it's easier to get sober and to abstain from drugs and alcohol. But when they're out in the community, kind of going to school and living lives and being triggered at home, for example, they need support to deal with all those real life triggers. And so this is kind of, yes, that kind of middle ground of a program with intensity and a lot of structure and a lot of support, but also real life. right? And, it's sort of, the kids kind of experience both a treatment program that has rigor and helps them deal with the problems and has that kind of approach, but also is sort of like a clubhouse for kids too. There's a foosball table, and the kids actually like being there. They're with other kids, and it's social for them.
That was one of the things that floored me when I first walked in, and you really downplayed it, Jennifer. It's a lot more than a foosball table. They've got computers and video games, heavy bags. There's graffiti on the walls. It is just
Yeah.
such a cool place to be. And you're absolutely right. Anybody who's ever experienced, or had a teen who's experienced these types of trauma and struggles, it's not an individual issue, it's a family issue, and the family needs to figure out how to deal with things. The teen needs to figure out how to deal with their own struggles, but also how to deal with them within the context of the family. And you guys really support the whole family and help make that transition a lot more successful, don't you?
Yeah, community and support are like some of the main pillars of the program. And it's so amazing how much normalization of a problem can help somebody. Seeing and hearing your peers wrestle with the same insecurities or family problems and not feeling like it's just them. Or even parents hearing other parents go through the same thing, parents can talk about the guilt they feel for missing signs of their kids' drug use, which is a natural and normal feeling, but we talk about the context of that, or what blind spots were active, and for kids to be able to talk about low self-esteem as a result of feeling like an outsider at school or feeling lonely in their families or whatever the issue is, and I think, what we've learned in this last year in this pandemic, we've known it in the mental health field, but I think that just got really amplified, is that isolation can do so much damage for people. It's one of the greatest risk factors in mental health is isolation. So isolation and shame, and so the fact that this program, one of its main pillars is community and support, I think targets both of those things. Normalization reduces the shame, and then the support and community reduces the isolation.
That is really important, and I want to get into what the pandemic and the isolation and everything is doing to this generation. But I want to talk a little bit more about your specific role at Insight. So, what role do you serve? What do you do there?
I've worn a lot of different hats. I'm a psychotherapist over there, and so. Okay. I mainly am in a clinical role. So I work with kids in groups. I work with kids individually and do family therapy. So I'm a therapist, so I do all the clinical work.
Fantastic. And that's such important work with the kids, with their families as well. Jennifer, what inspired you to get into that line of work in the first place?
How much time do you have? Because it's usually a personal journey. But you named earlier when you were introducing me that I'm a social worker, and so my degree's in social work. I've become a psychotherapist with now a focus on psychoanalytic work. But when social work is a profession that very much emphasizes the role of support, and more specifically, understanding how systems affect one another. So how the family system affects the individual, or more broadly, how the socioeconomic and cultural aspects of our world affects the family and therefore affects the individual. So it's called an ecological perspective, how do all the systems affect one another? So I was always so interested in how a person could either be devastated by adversity because of a lack of support, or resilient despite or in spite of adversity because of support, because we're all handed just so many challenges, and sometimes support and community is that X factor that makes the difference between how someone can either become resilient or not. And support comes in so many forms, but I think that's what was, in addition to kind of a tough adolescence and also a, very challenging family life. A combination of those things just got me really interested in the mental health field, but social work in particular, because I just love that idea around social work. And even though Insight's not a social work agency, it has a lot of those kind of main pillars, of community and support.
Yeah, it's all kind of intertwined. We're talking this morning with Jennifer Campoy. She is a therapist and works at Insight Treatment Center, working with teens teens and their families who are dealing with some significant issues in their lives. Jennifer, you touched on it a little bit earlier. It's been a really tough year for all of us, but specifically our teens have had such a rough year. What have you been seeing with the group of kids that you work with, and then also I'm sure you've been talking to others and researching and things like that. What are you seeing with teenagers this year? Can you tell us what it's specifically been like for teens with everything that they're going through that maybe their parents might not be aware of?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I think we're looking at something different now than what we saw a year ago, right? We're at the year mark right now.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning, the lack of socialization and the isolation from friends was the biggest difficulty. Equally difficult was the adjustment to online school. I mean, it's just been brutal for them. Not everybody learns very well online.
Sure.
People need engagement to learn. Some. It's interesting because it's also the same for adults. But kids who are more introverted and socially anxious and shy kind of had no problem with it, right? They're like, great, I can just stay in my room all day. But for a lot of kids who need, whether they're dealing with attention problems or school's hard, and to not have live people be engaging you and explaining things, and you be able to raise your hand and also be expected to kind of show up and have that live interaction, that was a huge adjustment and difficulty in the beginning. And what's interesting, I did a group yesterday with a bunch of teenagers, and I was asking them this, as you go back into the world, and schools some schools are going back right away. Mm-hmm. What are their biggest anxieties? And a lot of them said, I just adjusted to being online, and now I have to adjust to going back.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of disruption.
Yep.
That I don't think sometimes, we think, oh yeah, we're going to go back and we've been chomping at the bit for a year now and let's go. But it's, once you adjust to one way of life, now you have to adjust to going back.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really difficult for kids.
Yeah. And I do want to get into that. I wanted to ask, a little bit more about kind of the mental health struggles that a lot of our kids have been having. I feel like this year more than ever, families, schools, politicians, everyone have become more aware of the risks of teen suicide with the isolation that you talked about. Do you have any insight or understanding about what would cause kids to take such drastic measures? And are you able to give any specifics for that area?
Well, I think what's hard about this one is that kids are naturally isolating during this time, mm-hmm. either because they don't have any outlets, or what else are you supposed to do? You're in your room, and teenagers are in their room notoriously anyway. They want their privacy and all of that. So they're naturally isolating during this time. So it can be hard, and I think it can be hard for parents to distinguish between pandemic-related isolation and depressive isolation.
Yeah.
Because the depression, what I've found, just as a sidebar for everybody, is that whatever people grappled with to begin with, it just got amplified. If people had a tendency to be depressed and isolated, or even negative and irritable for whatever reason, that gets amplified. Conversely, if people tend to be on the anxious side and need a lot of structure and need a lot of knowing what's going to happen kind of thing, that all got stripped away.
Yeah.
So anxiety just skyrocketed. So things have gotten exacerbated. But the depressive isolation, to kind of distinguish, it's going to be accompanied by more kind of chronic and ongoing moodiness and sadness, or refusal to hang out or go out with friends or family, more kind of ongoing chronic negativity and irritability. So, now anyone with a teenager is probably right now saying that's what I see every day.
Right, all teens are dealing with that.
Right.
And it becomes hard.
My kid is depressed.
Right. Mm-hmm. It becomes hard because, like you said, it's difficult to distinguish what is typical and normal because we're all going through this trauma, and what are some red flags. We've got to take a quick commercial break, but let's talk about a couple more of those red flags when we come back. We're talking with Jennifer Campoy. She's a licensed clinical social worker and therapist with Insight Treatment Center. Stick around. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
When you look at your child, you see so much. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. A little leader growing to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make the world better. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free TK through 12 charter school provides boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a learning program customized just for your child. Today, that means empowering your child to bring strengths and passions to the distance learning environment. Our approach keeps your child and family in step while online, inspiring your learner to keep growing without missing a beat. At SCVi, your child will find even more ways to grow with projects and activities in STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. With the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, SCVi produces graduates who excel at top universities and in life. For enrollment information or to learn more about our distance learning program, visit iLEADSantaClarita.org. iLEAD Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
The anticipation of having a baby brings much excitement and hundreds of decisions. When choosing where to have your baby, choose the best. Providence St. Joseph Medical Center. The new Women's Pavilion combines expertly trained medical staff with luxurious labor and delivery suites and the area's most advanced neonatal intensive care unit. You and your new baby will get the best start possible. For more information and a tour, call 1-888-HEALING. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Donahoe Young & Williams is your award-winning go-to law firm for all real estate matters, including the changing legal landscape due to COVID-19. In addition, Donahoe Young & Williams can help you create an estate plan that accomplishes your wishes, protects you and your family, and avoids time-consuming and expensive California probate. If you've been financially devastated by the pandemic, Donahoe Young & Williams can help with debt negotiation and, when needed, bankruptcy under Chapters 7, 11, and 13. Visit Taylor Williams at dywlaw.com.
Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting Toyota lineup. Serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
Welcome to Dunkin', where safety is their #1 priority. The staff at Dunkin' has daily temperature checks and goes through a series of current health questions prior to each shift. They have all the necessary PPE, including masks, shields, and gloves. In addition, every store is sanitized several times an hour for your protection. Use the Dunkin' app for specials and to order ahead. Carry out and curbside pickup is available, or have your order delivered by Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, or DoorDash. Dunkin', all-day sandwiches, donuts, bagels, muffins, and of course, hot and cold beverages. Visit Dunkin' on Bouquet, next to Lowe's, or the Dunkin' in Canyon Country on Sierra Highway. The Santa Clarita Valley runs on Dunkin'.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. We're talking this morning with licensed clinical social worker and therapist with Insight Treatment Center, Jennifer Campoy. Jennifer, we were talking before the break about the tragedy of teen suicide and how it can be difficult. Oftentimes when you've got a kid who's active and, on the baseball team and spending time with their friends, and then all of a sudden you notice them spending all day every day in their room and they seem sad and depressed. Those are some huge red flags, but it seems like the world has told teenagers, spend all day in your room, and this is a scary thing, and so it's normal for you to be sad and depressed. And so it can be harder to see those red flags now. So fortunately, it seems like we've turned a corner, and schools are starting to open back up, and hopefully we'll be getting back to normal, which you mentioned can be its own struggle and readjustment, going back to another new system, a new change. But what red flags should parents be looking for, and what should they do should they start to see these red flags?
Yeah, I think some red flags, there's some behavioral red flags, like a total refusal to do anything outside of their kind of isolated world of their room. Like if parents are saying, and I tell parents all the time, let's go take a hike. Let's go on a walk once a day, and if there's just flat out refusal to do that all the time, there could be something more serious going on, or, same thing for, if they don't want to hang out with friends and they typically do want to hang out with friends. Those are some behavioral red flags. Some other things like, and again, this is more chronic ongoing versus once in a while, right? Because teenagers are kind of always going to be acting like this once in a while. It's when it's chronic is when it's more serious. But like the self-deprecating, really negative self-statements, self-attack commentary that you might hear your kids saying, could be insecurity, also could be a reflection of low self-esteem, but they're not feeling great about themselves. They're not feeling great about themselves in the world. So that could be a red flag. Again, distinguishing it from pandemic related, but when school starts to go kind of down the tubes and their motivation is really low, and they can't really pick themselves back up. They're just really struggling to be motivated about anything. That's also a red flag. And then, finally, when it comes to suicide, there's a lot of different things, but I always tell parents, if your kid is making any kind of comment about wanting to die or not wanting to live anymore, it should always be taken seriously. What I will say in addition to that is that sometimes kids will make a statement like, I wish I would die, and it can be reflective of some emotional state, right? Like desperation, or I'm just really stressed, or I don't see a way out, or I don't have a solution, right? And it might not mean they want to die, but it definitely means they're expressing some kind of pain and wanting attention for it. So it's just as much as it's important to always take those comments seriously, it's equally important not to overreact, because that can and usually does shut a kid down. So always taking it seriously and listening, tell me more about that. I always say that let kids kind of quote unquote talk crazy because they'll act crazy less, right? And what I mean by that is let them talk about how irrational they're feeling. Let them talk about their misery. Having that space is probably the most important thing a parent can do. Tell me more. And I know there's a lot of competing priorities and parents are busy and all of that, but just to listen without judgment and validate can just do a world of good when a kid is feeling down and out.
Yeah, I have to tell you, one of the things, and we struggled with some issues for a while, my son and I, and we came to the agreement that I want to kill myself or I want to die, that was a no-go area unless that's truly what he was feeling. And now that he would dip his toes in those waters every now and then, but I would clarify, and what I asked him to do is to be more descriptive. And so he got to the point where he would yell at me, "Dad, I'm so frustrated with you right now, I don't know how to express it." And it was kind of funny to hear it come out of his mouth that way.
Totally. I think that's a really, really good distinction, because as much as it needs to be taken seriously as a reflection of pain, don't take it literally all the time. And for kids to know, when you say something like that, I'm gonna react. So we need to find some other words.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, I don't want to go any further without giving folks some information if they are hearing some of these red flags or seeing some of these behaviors in their teens and they need to reach out to someone else for help. Obviously, if it's an immediate emergency where the child is in imminent danger to themselves or to others around them, you need to call 911. You need to call authorities. But if you're interested in calling a place like Insight, they don't just provide that treatment to their patients. They're available for local families and will get on the phone, talk with you, talk with your teen. They'll talk through things. You can reach the Insight staff at 888-295-9995, 888-295-9995, or you can just take a look at the services they offer at insighttreatment.com, insighttreatment.com. Jennifer, one of the things that I really appreciated at Insight, you guys focus on hiring counselors to work with kids who have a background and experience themselves in the types of challenges that they have. I've heard some of your counselors talk to parents and say, well, when I was using, this is where I would hide it. Try looking here, or this is how I felt when I was going through my manic episodes, and so that type of the kids would call it street cred, right? The counselors have been there, and that's so important. So you mentioned.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Just because I think there's an element to that that we incorporate and encourage involvement in AA, the AA community, because it's just a different kind of support than the mental health support that someone like me provides. So that kind of hybrid of support is so unique, I think, to Insight.
Yeah, it's just a great all-around, you mentioned the word wraparound program. Now, you talked about our schools, and I want to make sure that our parents are prepared for this next phase that we seem to be moving into. Our local elementary schools are reopening now on a limited basis, of course, and it looks like our junior high and high schools are looking to reopen by the end of the month. So let's talk about that in regards to mental health. As schools start to open up, you said, kids are they've just gotten used to distance learning and Zoom school, as we call it. But now as we open up and kids start to go back, how should families be preparing for this next stage?
Well, I think it can start with simply talking to your kids about what they expect and what they potentially dread, and what kind of changes they anticipate and what they're maybe even looking forward to. I think, try not to be in a hurry to convince them to get ready, and try not to convince them of anything, really.
Okay.
I think sometimes well-intentioned parents can be really eager to provide solutions. And I think it really needs to start with just talking to the kids about what kind of changes they anticipate being challenging. So, for example, getting back to the hustle bustle, kids have to wake up an hour earlier, an hour and a half earlier.
That's a good point.
And, sleep schedules have been all reversed. Kids liked that.
Yes.
Parents hated it. And needing to start to, I'm not sure I would have kids, especially teenagers, being, wanting so much control and autonomy, but talking to them about needing to start to adjust their sleep schedule back, getting ready. That's like a simple thing, but it's not an easy thing.
Right.
And also, we've been hearing for a year that the world is not safe, and being around other people is not exactly safe. So yesterday when I was doing this group, some kids were saying, I don't trust other people that they're socially distancing or, going to wear their mask or whatever. And so we're going from the world is unsafe to let's get back out there and trust that they're going to keep you safe. And so there's a shift in expectation around safety. So all of these things is sort of like talk to your kid about what are going to be the most challenging things. And also, I also tell parents, talk about themselves, about what they think is going to be challenging for them going back to work. Because kids can learn about themselves through parents talking about themselves,
Kind of modeling that behavior. I think
exactly.
That's a really interesting and brilliantly simple idea of just talking through what it's going to be like and how you're going to respond, it gives us the opportunity to do a dry run in our heads, kind of rehearse before we actually have to step out the front door, and so that we've considered, well, what will we do if our classmate decides to take off their mask and start, being a little goofy, or how are we going to handle seeing our best friend after a year for the first time and wanting to hug them, or, stuff like that, and just kind of going over it in our head. And that is so important, just being prepared for it. Now, in terms of getting back, right, our kids have suffered so much. I say that because we're talking about our kids, not to diminish what adults and the rest of us have been through. But as parents are kind of monitoring their kids going back to new behaviors, football teams tonight, as early as tonight, tomorrow, are going to be back on the gridiron, and people are going to be able to go to football games soon. Do you feel like parents should maybe be a little bit more lenient than perhaps they're inclined? Should they lean in a little bit more, monitor social behavior more closely? Parents tend to have kind of like what they're comfortable with, but if they need to waver one way or the other, do you have any recommendations in regards to that?
In terms of helping kids to deal with the coming together again?
Well, we've got this, we're constantly trying to balance, mental health needs, which would tell us our kids need to get out and socialize more, versus our physical needs, our physical health, that tell us, keep your kids at home, don't let them see anybody. And parents may be on the fence. Do you think it's more important now to kind of give our kids a little bit more leash, or rein them in a little bit more?
I think that's probably going to be very specific to the context and the setting that they're sending their kids out to. I think, it's also going to depend on who is really monitoring the situations, and if safety is a concern for families and for parents, to kind of know what kind of supervision is there at places. Are masks going to be required? Are parents want their kids to socialize and get back out there, but is wearing a mask going to be something that they're going to require? So to talk with their kids about what's reasonable and how all those kinds of needs are met. I mean, it's complicated to meet all these kinds of needs at the same time.
Yeah, it really is. Now, we've only got a couple more minutes, but apart from your work with Insight, Jennifer, you also have a thriving private practice. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is this also social work with teens?
I do a little bit of both. I actually see adults mostly in my private practice, but I have some slots for teenagers and families as well, since that's a specialty I've worked with for so many years, but it's located in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles. And I actually am seeing people live now who's comfortable. Some want masks, some don't want masks. And I also see people virtually, since that's what we've been doing for the last year.
Sure.
So I see people several times a week, adults who want to delve more deeply into things, and definitely see kids alone. And then I do a lot of parenting work. Parents who come and want some advice, suggestions, directions, parenting help. Sometimes I see parents alone, do a lot of co-parenting work. It sort of runs the gamut. But yeah, all of the above.
So where can our listeners, if they're looking for that type of treatment, where can they contact you for your private practice?
Yeah, my website is jennifercampoylcsw.com.
Fantastic.
And there's all the information anybody would want to know. The contact information.
You're absolutely right. You've got a lot of information on your website, and it's actually a very interesting read. And then also, again, if you're looking for treatment for your teens who are struggling, or if you're looking for a counselor to guide you as a parent on some specific issues that your kids are going through, you can talk to the Insight team by going on their website at insighttreatment.com, or again, you can give them a call at 888-295-9995, 888-295-9995. Jennifer, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your time and everything that you do. When we come back, we're going to be celebrating
you.
a little bit. There are some cool minor holidays and an ominous anniversary and an amazing tidbit for those of you suffering from the munchies. This is SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
Moms, dads, this is Cardin Ellis, owner of Unipest. If your house has ants, spiders, or gophers, or you want a free orange oil termite inspection, you have to call Unipest Termite and Pest Control, Santa Clarita's only factory-certified orange oil pest control company. We specialize in organic, low-impact, and traditional pest control options that are all kid-friendly, pet-friendly, and affordable with no contracts, and we're SCV-owned and operated. Call us at 661-BUG-7575 or visit unipest.com.
Excellence isn't just a word, it is what we deliver. Vanguard Protection Group is committed to providing its clients with the highest echelon of protective services available. Our clients not only receive the security services they contract for, but also reports that are well-written, articulate, and thorough. Our patrol officers operate at the highest levels and have an impressive rapport with local law enforcement. With military, police, private policing, and courtroom experience, you can trust that we have the strength to deliver our promise of excellence. Contact Vanguard Protection by calling 661-753-3611 or visiting their website at vanguardprotectiongroup.com.
Folks, this is your pancake speaking. If you look out your window, we're flying over IHOP's delicious international pancake combos.
Sweet tres leches.
A pancation wonderland with views of Belgian chocolate, tres leches, and vanilla spice.
Pancakes.
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 Pancakes. You know, let's back this thing up and take another look.
Go on a pancation with international pancakes at IHOP, starting at $4.99.
Traffic brought to you by the law firm of Owen, Patterson, Owen, helping Santa Clarita drivers recover from life-changing accidents for over 3 decades. Owen, Patterson, Owen, encouraging you to drive safely. Visit opolaw.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. And as I mentioned before the break, we are celebrating today. That's right. Put on your party hats. Our regular listeners know that I love to celebrate the minor holidays in a major way. So let's take a look at the calendar. It is March 12th, and March 12th is National Plant a Flower Day. So, gosh, flowers are getting lots of rain out there this evening, so it's a good day to get outside and plant a flower. Today is, and this one's special to me, this one is very near and dear to my heart. Today is National Working Moms Day. You know, every mom is a working mom, whether she goes to the office or stays at home, or, it's just the most incredible work a human being could do is being a mom. On March 12th, National Working Moms Day celebrates the breadwinners and the bread makers, the educators and the role models, those resilient, inspirational fixtures in our child's lives. You know, I was raised by a working mom, and man, she did so much to make sure that my brother Big T and I had every advantage in the world that she could possibly give us. And I know that she's just one of millions of American heroines out there. So celebrate a working mom today by, anything that you can do for her, I'm sure would be well received. Cooking or bringing her dinner. Greet her with her favorite drink when she comes home. Hey, restaurants are open. Take her out to dinner on a Friday night. Or maybe just let her control the remote tonight, or give her a foot rub. I bet. I can't imagine there's a working mom in the world that would turn down a good foot rub. So break out some hand lotion and rub those feet for Mom. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. It's time we spoil her for once, huh? We love you, moms. Today, March 12th, is also National Baked Scallops Day. Spoil your working mom with some baked scallops, huh? And March 12th is also National Girl Scout Day. That's right. It is the birthday of the Girl Scouts of America. March 12th, 1912 is when the Girl Scouts were formed. And check this out, Patty. You're going to love this one. I just learned myself this a couple of days ago. This weekend and this weekend only, did you know that you can Grubhub your Girl Scout cookies?
Wait, really?
Yep. Because of the pandemic, they haven't been able to sit out in front of the grocery stores and things like that like they normally do, but they have partnered with Grubhub, and this weekend only, you can get them today, tomorrow, and Sunday. You just call up Grubhub, and they will bring you your box of Samoas, Thin Mints, or whatever those peanut butter ones are called. And you know, a lot of people have asked around this program, yeah, but I'd rather buy from the Girl Scout I know because I want to support the local troops. Well, this does support the local troops. The local Grubhub drivers have made this agreement with Girl Scouts, and so like this weekend specifically, I think it's a troop in Canyon Country that's being benefited, and they're actually the ones that are packaging. They're taking their turns and they're wrapping things up. From what I understand, I think you get, when you buy 3, you get 1 free. So yeah, and none of those funds are being diverted to Grubhub. All of the funds that normally go to the Girl Scout troops, the local troops, are still going to the local Girl Scout troops. So, you know, you can get your grub on Girl Scout cookie style. All you need to do is just Google Grubhub Girl Scout cookies, and it'll give you all the contact information and everything that you need to do.
Thanks for the tip on that, Matt.
Right,
exactly. I mean, I already got a couple Girl Scout cookies in my freezer already, but now I'm just going to look them up. I'm like, yo, let's go do that this week.
March Madness is starting up. You don't even have to turn off the basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick up the phone, call Grubhub, and get those Samoas back out there at the house. So, you know, munchies, anyone? Gosh, I'm thinking that there's a certain demographic.
There might be a certain demographic
that might really appreciate this service that our Girl Scouts and Grubhub are providing.
You're not wrong.
It's just this weekend, so you may want to give them a call. And like I said, supports our local troops right here in the Valley. We are also celebrating celebrating? I don't know if it's celebrating. We are recognizing, honoring, we're living an anniversary of sorts. You guys all know it was 1 year ago. Well, it was 1 year ago yesterday. Yep, Patty's wincing because we all know what we were doing here at KHTS around this time last year and what the world was going through. It was 1 year ago yesterday that the WHO, the World Health Organization, declared coronavirus an official pandemic, and we all learned to, hibernate. And as for you sports fans, it was 1 year ago yesterday that Utah center Rudy Gobert tested positive.
Yep, that's exactly how I factored everything of this. Is like that's when Rudy Gobert got sick, and that's when everything shut down.
That's when he got sick. The NBA canceled their season, followed by March Madness, and then we went 4 months without a sport to be found. And it'll be 1 year ago tomorrow when our schools announced that campuses were closing, and you know, our high schoolers are still, with small exception, off campus. It has been one heck of a year. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to a couple of filmmakers and what they're doing to support teen health and wellness. So stay tuned. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
Bring your life. We'll help you make the most of it. Introducing 5 Point Valencia, a familiar place, and yet wonderfully different, with a fresh mix of homes, schools, parks, trails, and open space. All tuned to the way people want to live today. Learn more at Valencia.com.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com. If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 9 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
More talks with allies. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Biden today holding a virtual meeting with leaders of Japan, India, and Australia.
A free and open Indo-Pacific is essential to each of our futures, our countries.
The countries in today's meeting are key to the Biden administration's efforts to counter China's growing military and economic power. The president also discussing plans to boost access to vaccination doses in the U.S. and for our international partners. Several Democratic New York lawmakers, including Congressman Jerry Nadler and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are calling for Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign as state lawmakers begin an impeachment investigation into Cuomo over allegations of sexual impropriety.
With 6 women's allegations, plus the governor taking heat for the alleged nursing home COVID death cover-up, at least 59 Democratic state lawmakers signed onto a letter saying the governor needs to put the people of New York first. We have a lieutenant governor who can step in and lead for the remainder of the term. And this is what is best for New Yorkers in this critical time. It is time for Governor Cuomo to resign.
Fox's Lauren Green. Jury selection resumes today in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, charged in the death of George Floyd.
6 jurors have now been seated, including 5 men, 1 woman, 1 black, another multiracial, and 3 white, who will also have more options to consider as the judge in the case reinstates a third-degree murder charge on top of murder 2 and manslaughter against Derek Chauvin, for which the state will have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. More clashes last night between protesters and police at a federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon.
Get back! Get back!
The building's been the site of numerous demonstrations since last year's May 25th death of George Floyd. America is listening to Fox News.
Some big news. Since Election Day, almost 5 million people have downloaded the free Newsmax TV app on their smartphone. You can trust Newsmax TV. Watch it for free anytime. And go to Newsmax.com for breaking news. Newsmax is on all major cable systems. Call your operator if they don't carry it. Plus, watch Newsmax on Roku, YouTube, Apple TV, Xumo, TiVo Plus, Pluto, and smart TVs like Samsung and LG. Newsmax is real news for real people. Start watching today.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more. All with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, that's 877-ASK-DELL.
China says it wants the U.S. to stop interfering in its affairs as President Biden held talks today with the leaders of India, Australia, and Japan.
A spokesperson at China's foreign ministry says, "We urge the U.S. to stop interfering in China's internal affairs." The pushback comes after the Biden administration condemned Chinese plans for new political restrictions in Hong Kong. China is changing the way elections work in the city and introducing a mechanism to vet how loyal Hong Kong politicians are to the ruling party in Beijing. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected to meet with his Chinese counterpart in Alaska next week. Simon Owen, Fox News.
Dozens of countries with membership on the UN Human Rights Council calling Russia's actions against Kremlin opposition leader Alexei Navalny unacceptable and politically motivated. Navalny, a prominent critic of President Vladimir Putin, was jailed for 2.5 years last month over alleged parole violations. Navalny also says he was poisoned last summer by Kremlin operatives, a claim the Russian government denies. Disrespecting law enforcement officers in Kentucky could carry some stiff penalties under proposed legislation working its way through the state's legislature.
Offensive war
words or gestures, taunts, or insults aimed at a police officer could land an offender in jail for 90 days. The bill, in response to the massive protests in Louisville last year following the police shooting death of Breonna Taylor. Some lawmakers are concerned the proposed law could present First Amendment challenges, and it's not clear that Governor Beshear would sign the bill, but there are enough Republicans in the Kentucky State Legislature to override a possible veto. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
A cyber attack is causing problems for the Molson Coors Beverage Company. Brewery operations and shipments have been disrupted by the attack. Molson Coors doesn't say how many of its facilities were affected. The company operates 7 breweries and packaging plants in the U.S., 3 in Canada, and 10 in Europe. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Dow is gaining in early trading, but it's the opposite for the Nasdaq and tech stocks with a rise in bond yields and worries about inflation. We're seeing gains for the Dow, but the Nasdaq and its tech stocks are under pressure with a rise in bond yields and worries about inflation. To the downside, stocks like Tesla, Facebook, and Microsoft, which says ransom-seeking hackers have begun taking advantage of a recently disclosed flaw in Microsoft's widely used mail server software. And an AP Nork Center poll finds Black and Hispanic Americans are more likely than white Americans to have experienced job and other income losses because of the pandemic. The poll finds 62% of Hispanic Americans and 54% of Black Americans have lost some form of household income. That compares with 45% of white Americans. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Did you know just the simple act of dressing for work can make you more productive? According to a recent study by the Wall Street Journal, getting dressed for work each morning can even improve your performance. Untucked shirts are the easy way to look sharp instantly, and they're designed to be worn untucked so you'll stay comfortable all day long. So for your next Zoom call, lose the t-shirt and grab an untucked shirt instead. It'll also be your go-to when we start returning to all the things we've been missing. Try one today at any Untucked store or at untucked.com. Untucked shirts, designed to be worn untucked.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260 CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
These days, gatherings need to be outside with lots of room, supporting healthy space and distancing. It's not how far apart we are, it's about the treasured memories we create. Making moments with loved ones, friends, and family are cherished forever. Coyote Creek Locations offers 3 acres of manicured landscape in the heart of Agua Dulce in the Santa Clarita Valley. Craving the outdoors? Baby shower, wedding ceremony or reception, picnic, or holiday merrymaking? Go to coyotecreeklocations.com to reserve a date for your next perfect event.
Consumers Furniture is back open for your business. The safety of our community and our staff, above all, is most important to us. We will provide a safe and clean environment for you to find the perfect piece of furniture for your home. To help you with your purchase, we are offering 25% off your entire order or 24 months same as cash financing. And for our awesome essential workers, we will deliver locally your furniture free of charge. Consumers Furniture is located in the Centerpoint Shopping Center below Sam's Club and Walmart.
Are you looking for educational flexibility and choice? Look no further than your front door. iLEAD Exploration's independent study program is passionate about personalized learning. Our mission is to inspire learners to become creative problem solvers, compassionate leaders, conscientious collaborators, and responsible citizens who develop a lifelong love of learning. Our families partner with a credentialed teacher to customize each child's educational path. Families access community partners to choose a variety of in-person, online, and at-home options to create an optimal learning environment for each learner. Our program also values community, and through a variety of field studies, service projects, park days, and family gatherings, we provide many opportunities to foster friendships. Because there are currently in-person limitations due to COVID, we are offering activities online through webinars and virtual field trips. iLEAD Exploration is a tuition-free, independent study charter school program serving grades TK through 12 in Los Angeles, Orange, Kern, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. To learn more about our program, visit iLEADexploration.org. iLEAD Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Another chilly day for us with highs only in the mid-50s, lows in the low 30s. We could get some rain this afternoon on and off in the early afternoon. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. SCVi is iLEAD's founding school. We have been around. We were founded in 2008. SCVi is iLEAD's flagship school on the west side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off of Newhall Ranch Road. And they serve transitional kindergarten through high school. It is our area's only public comprehensive school that you can actually attend from the time you're 4.5 until you graduate high school. Our innovative take on education gets kids excited about school and working on real life work. But don't just take my word for it. Today we welcome in Ramon Hamilton and Hugo Turner from SCVi. Ramon, along with his wife Jennifer, founded the Santa Clarita Valley Film Festival, which they ran for about 7 years, only ending when the success of their film and media education company, Think 10 Media Group, grew so successful that they could no longer manage both. Think 10's award-winning film, Rachel's Pitch, successfully toured the film festival circuit. Much of Rachel's Pitch was made in collaboration with the Make-A-Wish Foundation in South Carolina and used our very own SCVi campus as its backdrop. Ramon Hamilton is also SCVi's upper school IB film facilitator and design tech coordinator. His history with SCVi goes back to the year we opened our doors. He facilitates IB, that's International Baccalaureate. That's our own kind of take on AP courses to oversimplify things. He facilitates IB film courses as well as Film 1 and Film 2 and also teaches a design tech class called New Media. And Hugo Turner is a freshman at SCVi. He's been attending iLEAD schools for 6 years now, having attended iLEAD Encino starting in 4th grade before transferring to SCVi 2 years ago. Hugo is an animator and a musician, and now he adds filmmaking to his resume. He is a thoughtful and compassionate young man who's using his talents to help others. Gentlemen, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you for having us, Matt.
It is my pleasure.
Thanks so much, dude. This is really cool. I love this.
Glad to have you, Hugo. Ramon, as I mentioned, you've worked with SCVi in a variety of capacities since our founding year in 2008. You've got a busy class schedule, and I'm sure you're looking forward to getting kids back on campus. But you've been teaching filmmaking now for a year via distance learning. How has that been?
That's actually a really, really good question. At first it was very intimidating, especially because, it's filmmaking and all of the equipment that the kids typically use is on campus, in our media room, all the fancy equipment and computers and editing software and all that good stuff. So it was a bit of an abrupt, 180 when we were like, oh, okay, we're not going to be there. Now, what I found actually very quickly, especially to give credit to Hugo's freshman class, is that storytelling and filmmaking is actually not limited to just having awesome equipment. So, we completely transitioned our approach. Kids are, shooting films on their cell phones and tablets, even actually for some documentary films using Zoom recordings as they interview documentary film subjects. And what I've actually seen is a push in creativity because they're kind of forced to figure out, well, how can I still tell an engaging story? How can I make an awesome film without all the bells and whistles that I normally get to have access to at the school? And, the quality of the storytelling and the innovative use of technology that they have at home has actually been mind-blowing. So it has not inhibited their ability to make really good films and tell really cool stories. We've obviously had to adapt and transition how we do it, but sometimes when you're forced, you have to think outside the box, and they absolutely met that challenge. Now they are obviously excited to get their hands on all the goodies. But it actually, was a much smaller bump in the road than I had expected, and I'm actually really proud and excited for some of the stuff that the kids have made this year.
That silver lining is really good to hear, and then, like you said, to develop that type of creative storytelling ability and then roll the technology on top of it later is going to be an exciting combination. Hugo, what about you? What's it been like taking a film class remotely? I'm sure as an 8th grader you were probably excited about all those goodies that Ramon's got in the closet there, but taking this class remotely, because you enrolled after the pandemic started, how has that been?
It's been interesting. In a way, I kind of agree with Ramon on the way the pandemic kind of forces us to be more creative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't just, go out into the schoolyard, get some friends and say, hey, give them a script and say, hey, these are your lines, or vice versa with me acting in their films. We have to do a lot more. We have to think a lot more about ways to get around things and ways to, and like creative ways to make things different and shine, even in this pandemic when, especially things like filmmaking that are very social are kind of negatively affected in its normal state. But in a way, I actually kind of think it's a good thing in a way, because like if you look at, like one of my main influences for guitar is Jimi Hendrix, who never really actually took a guitar lesson in his life. Which I kind of directly credit this for his creativity, and I feel that while doing something the normal way is of course very, very good to know and very good to experience, I feel it's also very valid to be forced to do something differently so that you can kind of develop your own way of doing it. As far as how school's been before and during the pandemic, before it was kind of normal. I mean, it wasn't as radical as Encino. Encino, we literally had 2 days where we didn't have 3 days actually where we didn't have classes. And did just independent study, which I did kind of like, I will admit. And at SCVi, we had classes every day. So, of course, it was a little bit of an adjustment when I came here in 7th grade from Encino, which sadly closed down. But then I got used to it, and then it all went away again when COVID starts.
Yeah, you've been through some interesting transitions. You mentioned our school in Encino. It was an independent study program where you guys were kind of on campus a few days, off campus a couple of days. But yeah, I love hearing the connection and your take on how, especially in the creative fields, being forced to do things differently really does inspire those creative juices. Ramon, I mentioned your busy schedule. You teach several film classes, Film 1, Film 2, IB1, IB2. Can you tell us what the difference between the different levels of courses are? But what Hugo's going to get between Film 1 and if he chooses to take Film 2 or the IB courses?
Yeah. Actually, we've actually, we've been doing this for quite a while, and we've actually developed a really cool transitional kind of step-up program. So I'm actually very proud of the way it works, and it actually works really well. And you start to see the fruits of that system when you get to the juniors and seniors. So Film 1 it's an introductory course, and that's actually what Hugo and his freshman class are currently taking. The ones that are doing that elective. Or not elective, but doing that art course. And essentially with that, they are introduced to just filmmaking as a general area of artistic storytelling. So they do a short live action film, a short documentary, which is what they're currently doing, and a short experimental film. So it's, again, just to kind of give them a taste of 3 different areas of filmmaking. When they transition into Film 2, they have 2 entire semesters to focus on creation of a film of their choice of genre and subject matter. So they'll spend, they'll develop their concept, they'll write their scripts, they'll shoot, they'll edit, the whole thing, everything that's involved in making a film from script to the actual finished product that goes on screen. So that they have a lot more dedicated time and attention to one singular film per semester, as opposed to doing a few different things like they do in Film 1. And the idea is they would have already learned the basic concepts, and now they're they can hone it in on just, hey, I want to tell this specific story. And then in IB, which is actually a 2-year program, they are then introduced to a lot more of the analytical side of film. So there's still the filmmaking component. In fact, one of their assessments is they have to make a collaborative film project, which they would have already had that experience because of Film 1 and Film 2. But then they're also looking at how to really break down and analyze film by genre, movements, film theory, filmmaking tools and aspects, director's intentions, just a lot more analytical, and being able to articulate that both verbally, through debate, or through text with textual analyses and things like that. So, in a nutshell, it's like, hey, Film 1, get a little taste of what filmmaking is across the board. Film 2, hey, what do you want to do? What kind of story do you want to really focus on? Let's make that. And then when they transition to IB, it's like, hey, let's now take what you learned and let's make a really awesome film, and let's also explore the analytical side of filmmaking and just film as an art form in general.
Ramon, you know me, by kind of trade, I'm an English teacher and a history teacher, and it sounds like your classes aren't necessarily just for people who ultimately want to become producers or editors or filmmakers in general. It sounds like this is something that would really help regardless of the career that you're going in. You're really developing kids' ability to think, to tell a story, to express what they've got inside of them. Am I right, or is this just a class for kids who ultimately have a goal of making movies in the future?
No. You're absolutely right with the former. And as we just continue to develop in society, it's having even just the skill set of knowing how to put together film and media that you can share in the workplace. That's such a huge part of the fabric of how we operate. Good luck going an entire workday without engaging with any form of media, and all of that needs to be created. And a lot of the effective media is stories, things that impact us, that get us to stop, pause, and think and reflect. And so, understanding how to properly communicate a story, and in this case through film and media, is absolutely essential to not just filmmaking. Now, if you want to, do filmmaking, and that's fine too, and it'll absolutely benefit that. But it's a skill set that I think is absolutely applicable. And then, when you jump into the IB years, it's even more relevant regardless of what your interests are, because just the concept of understanding how to properly look at something from an analytical standpoint, as well as how to communicate your sentiments on that piece in a way that your arguments are fully understood and they're fully supported. That's just a strong skill set for just communication in general. So I always think, that even adults, I think, should at least have the basic understanding of film and media creation, because it is such a huge part of our society, and it's not going away, And I actually would emphasize even more now the media part, because of just constantly how we're redefining what media is and redefining how storytelling is being done. One quick example is, I've got a couple of kids that are actually telling their stories through interactive Minecraft games. And is it a film? No. Is it media? Absolutely. Are they telling really cool stories? Yeah. And they're even a little bit more engaging because you, the player, have choice, and your choices have different outcomes depending on how you play it.
It's funny, you and I had this conversation a couple of years ago talking about new media, and I was trying to wrap my head around it. I said, so are you talking about making movies? You said, no. I said, okay, so more like television. You said, no. I said, okay, so what is it? You said, it's something new, Matt. We're pushing the envelope, and our kids as young as Hugo, 9th grade, are creating what the world is going to be consuming here in the very near, already starting to consume. So speaking of Hugo, you're in Film 1 now. Are you planning on moving on and taking those maybe next couple of years of film, or are you going to move into maybe specializing in music a little bit? What are you thinking about for the next couple of years of your academic career?
Well, I'm going to put it this way. Unless I have a complete personality overhaul, probably. I really dig, I really like what we're talking about, what we're learning, I'm excited for the experimental film unit. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. And everything I've heard Ramon say so far basically confirms the fact that I am probably going to stick with this class and probably going to stick with this program, most likely, because I kind of, I really like the approach here. And I can't wait to get into the more analytical side. One of my favorite things about movies is analyzing them. And I just feel like it'll be a really fun time, and I can't wait, honestly.
Well, Hugo, I want you to avoid that complete personality overhaul because we are quickly falling in love with you exactly the way you are. We're talking this morning with Ramon Hamilton, veteran filmmaker and teacher at SCVi, as well as one of his learners, Hugo Turner. Now, Hugo, you recently submitted an original short, and I want to get into that. But let's take a quick commercial break first, and we'll get into all the specifics about the PSA that you created when we get back and all of the important work that it's accomplishing. You're listening to SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Accidents happen, but rest assured Patterson's Collision Center is here to help. Patterson's is a family-owned and operated collision repair facility providing the Santa Clarita Valley with premium collision repairs. Patterson's prides itself on being the only California-certified green repair shop in all of Santa Clarita. They are insurance claim specialists and even offer payment plans for your deductible. For personalized, friendly service, visit pattersonscollisioncenter.com or call 294-1011 and let Patterson's Collision Center help ease your worries today.
Excellence isn't just a word, it is what we deliver. Vanguard Protection Group is committed to providing its clients with the highest echelon of protective services available. Our clients not only receive the security services they contract for, but also reports that are well-written, articulate, and thorough. Our patrol officers operate at the highest levels and have an impressive rapport with local law enforcement. With military, police, private policing, and courtroom experience, you can trust that we have the strength to deliver our promise of excellence. Contact Vanguard Protection by calling 661-753-3611 or visiting their website at vanguardprotectiongroup.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station. 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. This morning we're talking with Ramon Hamilton, award-winning filmmaker and teacher at SCVi, and one of his talented learners, ninth grader Hugo Turner. Ramon, SCVi was recently the recipient of a mini grant from an organization called Directing Change. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization and what they do, and then we'll get into how Hugo was able to get involved in a program that they're running?
We did receive that mini grant, which was awesome. When I first learned about the Directing Change, it was kind of an immediate, we need to submit to this thing because it's very much in line with the kind of work that we produce. So basically what they do is they challenge students to create typically 60-second PSAs. In the animation category, I believe it's a 30-second PSA. And then they have a variety of different topics that that the students or the learners can submit to based on what interests they want to do and what they want to produce. So without going into all the different categories, our students at SCVi, they chose to enter into the mental health matters. Actually just reading here from their website is basically it says this category asks for a 60-second film that encourages young people to get help and support friends with mental health challenges. Now, one thing I do want to note is that they do this every year, and it's a fantastic competition, and it really gets the kids thinking. But I really, really feel that it's even more applicable this year because of the pandemic, because of sheltering in place, and just really the lack of normalcy that we've had, that we're so used to, that's just been part of just everyday living, has been disrupted. Mental health has become an issue, even more so than it was prior to this, and it is really important for people, especially young people, to really take steps to keep themselves in a good place. So this year was really a special year to do this, and it really allowed our learners and all the learners across California that engaged with this PSA to think about what that looks like now, and what can we do to offer tools and suggestions for people that might be struggling.
You're right, Ramon. The timing was absolutely perfect. Teenage mental health is something that we should always be keeping our eye on, but this year in particular, what a perfect time for kids to get involved in this project. Hugo, I know you participated in it, and it sounds like you've certainly got a passion for filmmaking, but was the content based on mental health? Was that something that you enjoyed doing, or it was just more of I enjoy filmmaking and let's jump into whatever the content is?
Well, kind of a little bit of both.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt that the generality, I mean, while it was about the specific subject of mental health, I felt that the generality of how you could approach it, and from what angles you could approach it was, very, very much interested me, which led me to choosing my topic, which is a very personal topic. And one of the things I like about movies are if they have expression of the creator, and I tried to do that a lot, and I felt I had the opportunity to in this contest.
Well, that's beautiful. So tell us about your PSA. What did you do? What was your PSA about?
Well, I made a 60-second film called The Art of Happiness, about the use of art therapy, or the use of artistic mediums such as drawing, painting, music, animation, all of that good stuff, to deal with and recognize really mental health issues, so that they can be more easily dealt with and more normalized to the person, so that it doesn't become taboo or a mystique or anything, that they can just deal with it.
Yeah, and you are you're very much a multifaceted artist yourself, getting into filmmaking. I mentioned you're an animator. You talked about how you play the guitar as well, so you're a musician. And did I hear this right, Hugo? One of your original songs is featured in your film. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. One of my first original songs I actually wrote a little while back, actually. I think 2018 is actually featured in the movie, and it's called Standing in the Rain. It's pretty cool. Anyways, but yeah, it was, this is the reason, one of the main reasons why I chose this is because I've had experiences with the use of, I don't have mental health, real bad mental health disorders or anything, but just the use of art therapy or arts to just deal with just problems in my life, and to kind of use as a coping mechanism. And then I heard other people did the same thing, and I looked it up. My dad had this book, The Diary of this woman, Anais Nin, who was a writer from the early 20th century. She associated with people like Henry Miller and Antonin Artaud, and she knew this person named Margaret Naumburg, right? And she was actually the wife of Waldo Frank, another writer from the early 20th century. And she's credited with the creation of dynamically oriented art therapy, which is a kind of one of the first forms of art therapy that basically use art as its main medium and its main way to express and main form of therapy, really. And I found it all very, very, very intriguing, because it gave more light to what I did, and I don't know. I just wanted to share that,
That's such a beautiful concept and a great way for you to reach out to your peers and, well, not just your peers, people of all ages, to talk about, hey, this is the way I've been able to express what I've got inside, and whatever you're going through, maybe this'll help you too. Ramon, I know Hugo's certainly not your only student. What are some of the other mental health PSAs that your learners created in participating in this project?
Sure. I can highlight a couple of others that stood out. So we have another learner who they chose to focus on alternative ways to seek help. And their basic premise was, if you're an individual who is struggling with some sort of mental health issue, and that mental health issue could be stemmed from the household, which would obviously be a very unfortunate situation. How do you seek help? How do you, essentially asking the question, how do you seek help when the people that are supposed to be the helpers in your life are the ones that are the cause of the mental health trauma? Which is a very challenging question, not just for a young person, but I think for anybody. And so they explored that concept through a youth, a teen who is dealing with mental health issues and has some abuse going on at home, and they actually use a kind of coded messaging in a tutoring class or tutoring lesson for math to communicate in a hidden manner to their tutor that they are suffering with some sort of issue at home, all while the parent is there with them at the tutoring session. Wow. So it was just a really, really clever way to think about, how do you deal with the issues when the helpers themselves, or the people that are supposed to be the helpers, are the actual problem. And then we had another learner that was focused on something that's extremely relevant today, and which is how do you deal with the mental health issue if part of what you're doing is having an extreme form of escapism through online and internet usage. And, obviously because so much of schooling now is online, that becomes even more relevant. But, what happens when it goes beyond the necessities of, doing whatever it is that your, class or work or whatever, and even beyond entertainment, gaming and stuff, but it becomes an actual crutch, a necessity, and becomes ultimately a preferable place to exist in the online world and not interact with the real world. And how can we identify when those are actual issues, and more importantly, what can we do to help solve or at least alleviate those kind of mental health issues?
Gosh, it seems like, and it's probably because of all of the media that's available and the ease with which they're consuming it, it seems like our kids these days are so much more informed, so much more astute, and then therefore so much more involved with what's going on in the world around them. I remember when I was 15, I was trying to figure out how to hit a curveball, and that's kind of where I maxed out, right? And I think it's beautiful that kids have this access, and then the learners at SCVi and our other iLEAD schools are given the freedom and the ability to engage those topics in a real way, right? We're not talking about making campy commercials or things like that. Your kids are making films, submitting them into contests, films that have real-life context and real-life effects. Hugo, we talked a little bit earlier about how difficult it is to make a film in the midst of a pandemic and all the logistical things that you needed to be creative about. And you mentioned some of the reading that you did. Did you have to do any other research when working on this film, or was that that book and the authors that you talked about? Was that kind of the extent of the research that you did along with your own personal experience?
I mean, to think that I didn't use the internet for something, and this is kind of, I mean, of course I did, and I did some more research. I did some more research on the concept of art therapy itself. I did some more research on the actual severity of mental health issues in kids, basically teens between the ages of 14 to 23. I got articles from the World Health Organization, even the CDC had something to say, Save.org, which is a suicide prevention organization, the RSA, which did a program for art in schools and with children, which had success, and just other things,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, Hugo, if some of your peers, kids your age, are listening to the show, or we actually get quite a few listens in the podcast after the show, what would you like to say to young people who may be listening that are struggling with mental health issues? Is there any message that you'd like to give them directly?
This is actually a very difficult topic for me.
Okay.
A very difficult topic because, I don't, one thing, advice in art is great, but the way you approach it can really affect the way it's taken and the way it's used. And to be honest, of course I have a few, it'll be kind of general because, of course, I don't want to constrict anyone's creative freedom. Basically what I'll say is always try to challenge yourself, but don't lose faith in the things you do now, because they won't be as good as the things that you do tomorrow. Because to be honest, skill and talent is really completely in the eye of the beholder. And when it comes to your own art, really the best opinion, the most valid opinion about it, while other opinions are valid, the most valid opinion about it is your own. Especially if you're trying to use personal expression. I'd say explore different mediums as much as you can, because in my perspective, it's a really cool enterprise, a really nice way to gain experience and to inform yourself about different things. And if you lose interest in one way of drawing art, then you can always go to another. Also, if you're not interested in just drawing, painting, animation, or music, or whatever else, filmmaking, all that, video game design, you can always find the art in what you do,
Just find a way to express yourself. Hugo, you are certainly an impressive artist, an impressive young man. Ramon, it's got to be exciting to help to just be a part of these young people's journey as a filmmaker, as a professional, as a human being. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you guys do. And for our listeners, if you're interested in the type of rigorous and exciting project-based education that Hugo and his classmates are getting, you can contact SCVi at iLEADSantaClarita.org or call us at 661-705-4820. We're enrolling now for next school year in grades kindergarten through high school, and I do want to urge you, because the deadline for our enrollment lottery, we do have to have a lottery because every year we have more applicants than we have seats. So the deadline to apply is actually next Friday, March 19th. So fill out that interest form again at iLEADSantaClarita.org to make sure that your child has the opportunity to attend SCVi next year. Again, iLEADSantaClarita.org or call us at 661-705-4820. Ramon, Hugo, you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Matt, may I bring up something?
Yeah, Hugo, go right ahead.
I also, one thing I forgot to mention, I actually have the great honor to be the founder and editor of the SCVi Leader newspaper. Please, I implore you. We worked our butts off on this latest issue that we did. Please read it. Please. I need the validation. The team needs the validation.
Hugo, where can we read it, man? Where can we find it?
The SCVi, you go to the SCVi website, be it Echo or whatever kind of port you go to, normally.
Sure.
Click on Student Life, and you'll just see SCVi Leader Student Journalism.
Okay.
It's right there. I'd really appreciate it. And now I will stop begging for views.
Hey, we'll get on it right after the show. It's iLEADSantaClarita.org. Click on Student Life, and there you can check out Hugo and his colleagues' work. We will be right back with lots of laughs and trivia with Big T. This is SCVi and iLEAD School's Eye on the Valley. I'm your host, Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.
When you look at your child, you see so much. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. A little leader growing to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make the world better. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free TK through 12 charter school provides boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a learning program customized just for your child. Today, that means empowering your child to bring strengths and passions to the distance learning environment. Our approach keeps your child and family in step while online, inspiring your learner to keep growing without missing a beat. At SCVi, your child will find even more ways to grow with projects and activities in STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. With the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, SCVi produces graduates who excel at top universities and in life. For enrollment information or to learn more about our distance learning program, visit iLEADSantaClarita.org. iLEAD Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com, located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
Bring your life. We'll help you make the most of it. Introducing 5 Point Valencia, a familiar place, and yet wonderfully different, with a fresh mix of homes, schools, parks, trails, and open space. All tuned to the way people want to live today. Learn more at Valencia.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLEAD Schools Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. And if you're interested in the SCVi Leader newspaper that Hugo mentioned right before he left us last break, producer Sarah, as she is always red hot, she has posted a link to that newspaper in the Facebook feed. So if you're not on Facebook Live, go to KHTS Radio's Facebook page, and right there in the chat, she has posted a link to the SCVi Leader newspaper. You can read more about what Hugo and his colleagues are creating. Speaking of producer Sarah, she's joining me on the line now. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good to have you. We've also got my big brother, Big T. You know, Big T is a longtime resident and leader in Santa Clarita. He is a business leader and philanthropist. He is the quintessential family man and community member. Well, and he is a master communicator. Ronald Reagan's got nothing on him. He's mom's favorite. Big T, welcome back to the show.
Morning, y'all. I will not be making inappropriate comments like you about producer Sarah.
Wait, what?
Check the tape.
Oh, I think I know what he's referring to. We'll talk about it off the air, Sarah.
Red hot.
She's
okay. Thank you, Matt. I was quick on the keyboard.
Hey, I'm not commenting on anything that her husband's not commenting on Facebook.
True that.
Right?
Yep.
All righty. What do you got for us, brother man?
I got some trivia. I got a few fun facts. I got some money round questions that you seem to like so much, Maddie. So let's dive right into it.
All right, we got Sarah, we got Patty, we got Frogger. Are you keeping score, Patty?
All right, I'll keep score.
All right, cool.
Give him the rules one more time, Matt. Give him the rules.
Okay, so your name is your buzzer, although our listeners don't need to buzz in. It's just like Jeopardy playing at home. You don't need to phrase it as a question at home, right? You don't need to hit your buzzer. But Big T is going to shout out going to call out the questions, and just for those of us here in the studio, we need to shout out our name for the buzzer and then give the answer. So let's go, brother.
Perfect. What are the 5 colors that make up the Olympic rings?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger and then Sarah.
I know we've got red, blue, yellow, black, and green.
Good pull, Frogger. Woo! What's the only sport to be played on the moon?
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Golf.
Golf is correct.
It would have been dune buggy racing, but they didn't have 2 of them.
What was Muhammad Ali's birth name?
Patty. Cassius
Patty.
Clay.
Good pull, Patty.
Let's go. 2 Matt, 1 Patty.
His mama call him Clay. I'ma call him Clay.
True or false? The U.S. Emergency
Patty.
Hotline. Patty.
True.
Incorrect. Good way to go, Stack Patty. The U.S. Emergency Hotline is 911 because of September. Sarah.
False.
Yeah, I shouldn't even need to finish that question, right?
I still don't know what the question is.
Question was the 911 is because of September 11th. The correct answer is false. Patty going 50-50 chance on that.
Yeah, I did.
I love it. I thought, wait a minute.
2-1-1.
I thought Big T had something going on the sly. He's texting Patty the answers.
No. What does the G mean in G-Man?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Government.
Government is correct.
3-1-1.
True or false? The sum
Patty.
of numbers. Patty.
True.
True is correct.
Yes.
The sum of all numbers on a roulette wheel is
3, 2, 1.
6. What is Chandler's last name in the sitcom Friends?
Patty. Bing.
Patty.
Bing.
Is correct. Patty.
Yes. 3-3-1.
What item of clothing is presented to winners of the U.S. Masters?
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's an ugly green jacket.
Yeah. No, I just
Yes,
got
it
that.
is.
Yep.
All right, sticking with golf for the next 2. What type of bird signifies a score of 2 under par on any?
Patty.
Frogger and then Patty is close.
I'm going eagle.
Eagle is correct.
Yep.
Next question. What's 3 under par?
Frogger.
Frogger.
That'd be albatross.
Albatross is correct. Good job.
5-3.
There we go.
1.
Hang that albatross around your neck, Patty.
Yeah.
Area 51 is located in what U.S. state?
Patty. Nevada.
Patty.
Nevada.
Good pull, Patty.
5-4-1.
On a dartboard, what number is directly opposite the number 1?
Frogger. 19.
Frogger. 19. Good pull.
6, 5,
Alrighty.
1.
No, it's 19.
Score
Where
keeping.
did producer Andrew purchase his college degree?
Frogger. Chico State.
Chico State. Willie the Wildcat.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I can't comment on that. I will not.
He doesn't get credit for that one. Which
Engineer
American
Andrew could
president
comment
appears-
on it if he were here.
All right. It's 6-5-1
I know.
still.
All right, here we go.
Which American president appears on a $1 bill?
Patty. Yeah,
Patty.
George Washington.
Patty's got a few of those in his wallet, baby.
Yes, I do. 6-6-1. Hey.
What geometric shape is generally used for stop signs?
Frogger. Octagon.
Frogger. Octagon is correct.
7-6-1.
How many colors are there in a rainbow?
Frogger.
Sarah.
I'm going
Frogger than
7.
Sarah. 7 is correct.
Yeah.
8-6-1.
Did you have that, producer Sarah?
I did. I am
I'll
apparently
bet
much
she's had
more
most
red
of those.
hot on the keyboard than I am in.
I think they've got you on tape delay, Sarah, to try to equal the playing field.
Well,
That must be it.
her language can get a little
Right.
dicey. We need to keep her on a delay.
All right, true or false?
Patty.
Patty.
False.
Incorrect.
No.
Sarah.
True.
True is correct.
7,
On average,
6,
at least
2.
one person is killed by a drunk driver in the U.S. every hour. Oh goodness! All right, we got some money round.
Okay.
I know. We've got some money round questions. I'm going to throw out some topics, some of them relevant to what's going on in the time, meaning some March Madness stuff. But you tell me what the topics are relating to. Bobby Hurley, Elton Brand, Christian Laettner,
Patty.
Dave Reddick.
What is college basketball or just basketball?
More specific?
Duke.
Frogger.
Actually.
Ah, man.
Duke basketball. Good call.
7-7-2.
All right. Honu, Undergrounds,
Frogger.
Cody, Frogger.
Those are coffee houses in and around the Santa Clarita Valley.
Good pull. Good pull. Future sponsors of KHTS, hopefully. All righty. Chest, bounce, lob,
Frogger.
full court, one-handed.
Frogger. Those are passes in basketball.
Basketball passes. Good pull.
972.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen. Name the movie.
Frogger. Ocean's 11?
No, incorrect. Boston, corrupt police movie.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Is it Departed?
The Departed. Good pull.
Oh, wow. I missed that.
973.
Alrighty. Tyus Edney, Ed O'Bannon,
Frogger.
Louis Alcindor. Frogger.
Those are champions with the UCLA basketball program.
Threw in the chance. I love it.
Go Bruins.
10-7.
Alamo, Solita, Las Delicias, Trocadero, La Cocina.
Frogger.
Sarah.
Frogger.
Those are Mexican restaurants in and around the valley.
Nice. Alrighty.
11. He's running away.
Santa Clarita, Central, Bridgeport, Bouquet Canyon, Valencia Heritage, Cheseboro.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Those are neighborhoods within Santa Clarita.
Incorrect. Looking for something more.
Frogger. Oh. She corrected herself. Does it count?
Yes.
No,
we
give it
went
to
to the
the guy.
judges, and yes, they think producer Sarah's red hot too. She gets it part.
She's at 4 right now. She's at 4. She gets it.
Buzzer beater, bank, layup, dunk.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Those are baskets in basketball.
Yeah.
Those are basketball shots, correct.
How we doing on
All
time,
right,
Patty?
Matt.
We have about a good 2 minutes.
All right. Maybe
Perfect.
one or two more, T.
Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick
Patty,
Swayze,
Patty.
Rob Lowe, Patty.
What is The Outsiders?
Outsiders, good pull.
Yes.
Alrighty. Bill Miranda, Marsha McLean, Cameron Smythe,
Patty.
Lorraine
Sarah.
West.
Patty, what are mayors of Santa Clarita?
Sarah.
I was wrong.
Patty, I was going for something different. Go ahead, Sarah.
Aw.
Current city council members for Santa Clarita.
Current
that
city
works.
council members.
There you go.
Current city council members is correct. All right, Kinza, Achita, Shogun, Big Tuna, Keisha.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Those are sushi restaurants in and around the Santa Clarita Valley.
Absolutely. I got two more real quick.
Real
Gene
quick.
Hackman, Jimmy Chitwood.
Frogger.
Hickory, Indiana. The Picket
Frogger.
Fence.
Frogger. Hoosiers.
Hoosiers is correct. Last
Go
one.
watch Hoosiers
Tim
this
Tom.
weekend, man.
Yep. Tim Tom's, Tips, Sutter's Mill, El Torito, Hamburger.
Frogger.
Hamlet.
These are all defunct restaurants in the Santa Clarita Valley.
That is correct.
Fantastic. We got to bail, T. I thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to my guests, Jennifer Campoy with Insight Treatment Centers, filmmakers Ramon Hamilton and Hugo Turner from SCVi Charter School, Big T, engineer Patty, red hot producer Sarah. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLEAD Schools, Eye on the Valley, on your hometown station, KHTS.